Hello everyone, my name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. Today's video is all about Easter packaging. What you're looking at here are gift bags that have been decorated for Easter, and we're going to be incorporating a few different products today. I'll walk you through all of them. It's going to be a little bit tricky to show the gift bags, so you're going to see me pulling them in and out of the video throughout. I will also include some still photos in the video for you. And in addition to the bags, we also have really cute tags. Okay, I couldn't get them all into one shot. Okay, so here we go. Here are the tags. So we are going to be working with bags and tags today. So here you see we are also working with the Subtles collection. The concept of this was actually from a paper pumpkin kit. And when I say concept, I mean the idea of this and then the actual treat bags. Okay, so the idea here was you could either decorate the treat bag, which would be the alternate idea, or you could add a tag to a bag. Okay, and it doesn't just have to be a bag. It could be a wrapped present. It could be around candy. Whatever would work for you, but that's the fun today. In our lives for Easter, more so than gift cards or more so than greeting cards, we tend to give gifts, which is the concept behind the video today with the packaging. There is just something that I briefly wanted to mention while we get into this, and that is I want to talk a little bit about the coronavirus. Depending on where you are in the world, I know everybody is being affected by this in some way, and that is also true here where I live. I live in the United States. I actually live in Pennsylvania, and the schools have shut down, and my son is 4, and he will be home. So it's going to change the schedule a little bit. We are very fortunate so far in that nobody that I know personally has been affected, but my heart goes out to everyone who has been. We are going to get started making these projects, but I'm going to try to maintain consistent posting. I'm going to keep trying to get one video a week out just for the foreseeable future. Everybody is in a very unpredictable and unprecedented time right now, and it's my job to entertain and teach you fun, crafty projects. That's what I plan to do. For any new demonstrators who may have received the Gift of Fall Paper Pumpkin Kit as their free paper pumpkin kit in their starter kit or their joining package when they became a demonstrator with Stampin Up. These are some great ideas for you. These are some great ideas for anybody who has extra paper pumpkins on hand or who may not have actually gotten to open up this set but wants another shot at it. I think that this is a good time to talk about using our resources, using what we have on hand, using our extras when we are home at an unusual time with what's going on with people being quarantined, or with the phrase that I've been hearing again and again called social distancing, involving this pandemic that is happening across the globe with the coronavirus. So I would encourage you to get out your paper pumpkin kits, to get out your monthlies, to get out any of your extras, any of your extra sets. If you bought a suite and it's been sitting, get it out and try to find creative ways to use it. This is what the original bag looked like from the Gift of Fall. And here is an alternate version of it. Okay, and then if I were to open this up, and let's say it was the other side where we actually did the tag concept here. I'm not going to tie it, but you get the idea. So let me just pull that off to the side there. Okay. All right. So you can see the difference here. If you don't, if you don't want to dress up your bag, if you literally just want it to be a tag like they had. Okay. So some of the differences here that you can see is that we're not actually using these pieces from the paper pumpkin kit. You can save those for making them in the fall if that's what you choose to do, or if you want to use the pieces for cards or scrapbook pages. The only thing that I used was the bag and the design concept with layering the different pieces and the sentiment on the tag. Okay, so we just add in our different textures. So in this case, they have some twine with some ribbon. They have some sequins here with some multiple layers. Okay, and for me, we just have different textures and colors of ribbon. Adding in the tassel. Okay, having the little designer elements here with layering the die cut pieces, elevating and popping up the bunny on dimensionals, adding a little sentiment at the bottom. You see that they have this banner punch look here, and ours is straight. Okay, so just to see what it looked like, what the tag looked like before I added everything to it, it looks like this, and theirs is straight. But do you see how you could just take the design and the concept that Paper Pumpkin came up with and turn it into something completely different? You could technically do this for every holiday. You could do this for birthdays. I really encourage you to get creative and to play. It's one of the things that I did for myself when I was really starting to feel that stress and that anxiety that has come with all of the wave and the overwhelm of the news lately. Now, one thing that I want to say about Paper Pumpkin is that once it's gone, it's typically gone, but a lot of people who purchase Paper Pumpkin purchase more than one. And a lot of people will keep them on hand or on reserves or use them as they need them. I know it can be frustrating when you can no longer order a certain kit, but if you remove the concept of, I can't get this kit, you could make something exactly like this on your own. So a lot of crafters have gift bags on hand. You could also purchase gift bags at big box stores, other stores, and you could get them in sets of 6 or 8 or 10, or even, you can buy in bulk, just depending on where you get it from. So there are many different options with how you can get your gift bags that you're going to decorate. And then you can use whatever Stampin' Up! Products that you want for the occasion. For So Shelli, from the Hugs from Shelli, the only thing really that I ended up using from this was the actual nest. So this is a card. This is an originally designed card from that set. And if you have any stamp sets that have nests, like nest stamp sets, or if you have die cuts, or just whatever you have in your craft stash, you could even sketch a nest if you don't have this particular card, or don't count out the twine. You could actually just wrap the twine around and make just a really soft, simple nest with baker's twine. So just to give you some ideas there. I wanted to talk briefly about sentiments. So all of these sentiments, Welcome to the World, Little One, Happy Easter, and Sweet Friend, are all from the same stamp set. I did pull in a few extra sentiments from other stamp sets. This is from A Wish for Everything, where it says, sending Easter wishes to someone very sweet, if this is something that's going to be sent in the mail. Okay. There's another sentiment too. May the beauty of Easter fill your heart with hope. That's also from A Wish for Everything. Hello Baby is from So Sentimental. Have a Wonderful Easter is also from the Welcome Easter stamp set. Okay, so let's just say that the combination for the tag, or your your paper recipe for the tag, is these two layering pieces, your fussy cut image, and whatever other elements that you would want to incorporate. Like for the sheep, I was really liking the clouds. That was actually an idea that my boyfriend had when we were talking about associating with bunnies, where we were saying carrots and hopping and gardens and things like that. And then when I said, what about sheep? And he said, I think of clouds, because we read a lot of books to our son, and the imagery of, you know, counting sheep at bedtime, which is really cute. But we would take whatever our decorative element is, and we would add it. Another fun element that I had been incorporating into the tags are the tassels from the Best Dressed suite. And then you would incorporate your sentiment. Okay, so if we were going to do another stamp of Sweet Friend, we would add it right here. We would incorporate some ribbon. So you can see here, this ribbon is actually from the Magnolia suite, and this Mint Macaron ribbon is from Best Dressed. This is an example of using more than one ribbon, just for texture and color. And then this is just using one. Okay. In terms of coloring, we're going to be working with the Stampin' Blends and the Stampin' Write markers, really just to play around with it, look at the different colors, look at the different techniques, see what I liked, and we'll use some of these today. So of the Stampin' Blends, in the yellows, I have the Pineapple Punch and Daffodil Delight. So this is Pineapple Punch Light with Pumpkin Pie Light for the beak and the feet. This is Daffodil Delight Light. This is Pineapple Punch Dark, and this is Daffodil Delight Dark. Okay, and this is the Mango Melody Light for the beak and for the feet. This is Mango Melody Dark for the feet and the beak. And this is Pumpkin Pie Dark for the beak and the feet. So you can really get an idea, even just with 4 of the Stampin' Blends markers, of the different kind of looks that you can get just by using those. The other thing that I wanted to say was there is no special shading, and only one Stampin' Blend marker was used for each one of these. Very, very simple. The concept is that these would be given to kids. They like, you know, bright, bold colors, but for the sake of working with the Subtles collection, I did think that the Daffodil Delight Light was my favorite, and I'll show you how that turned out. I just wanted you to see the difference between, these are a little bit more on the bright side, very bold, and these are a little bit more on the softer side. I was surprised by how dark Daffodil Delight Dark was. I thought it was just a little too dark for the project today, but this was perfect. And the reason that I didn't color any of these tops is that I was cutting them off. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Stampin' Write markers. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the difference between Stampin' Write and Stampin' Blend markers. Okay, so Stampin' Write markers are dual-ended. There's a very fine tip here that you could write or journal with or create details with. There's also more of like that artist's brush tip. Okay. When you purchase the Stampin' Write markers, you get them in either a set of 10 per color collection, meaning that you could buy the set of 10 Stampin' Write markers because there are 10 colors in each color collection. So you could buy it in the neutrals, the subtles, the brights, the regals, or you could buy a mega collection that is available in the annual catalog. And I'll put a picture up on the screen so that you can see that. These are water-based, okay? The Stampin' Blends are alcohol-based. They also have 2 tips. Okay, so same sort of artistry brush tip there. And we have a bullet tip, which is more concentrated, for more controlled coloring. So if you want to know the difference in the looks between the Stampin' Blends and the Stampin' Write markers, I did play around a little bit with that today. Stampin' Write markers you can actually use to color right onto stamps. Alcohol, the Stampin' Blends, which are alcohol markers, cannot do that. You wouldn't be able to draw right onto your stamp for a color, or let's just say it would not be recommended because it could permanently damage your stamp. But of course you can color with them endlessly. So let's just see here, just so that I can show you the difference of what I mean. And I'm sorry that they're stamped in different directions, but so experimenting with color, this is all Stampin' Blends. And this is Stampin' Writes. The first thing that you can see is that the Stampin' Writes have very thin tip details that you could literally sketch or draw in whatever, you know, type of coloring that you would want, whatever type of drawing that you would want in there. So we kind of have these little 6s creating a little kind of a hair pattern that was used with the Stampin' Writes. And that was in Sahara Sand for this one, and then Smoky Slate for this one, and Basic Gray for this one. Now the main thing that I want to bring your attention to, aside from the fact that I did slightly different techniques with each one so that I could kind of see what I wanted them to look like if I gave them very detailed drawing there added to the stamp, is this tended to be my favorite. Now if you look at the face of this one, you can see that it's colored in, it has gray coloring to it, but it's not quite blended. It's not quite smooth. Like up at the top here, you can kind of see that darker line. Here, you can see it's completely smooth. So even using the basic black, and this is a Stampin' Blend in basic black light, the face on here was gray granite dark. And no matter how many times you color it, it will be smoother than it will with a Stampin' Write. And I'll show you more about that with the rabbits. I think it'll be a better example too. So one thing that you can really take advantage of if you're using the Stampin' Write marker, which is this one, is you can actually kind of create a pattern in itself just while you're coloring in the image. And in this case, I kind of went diagonally, and it gives it almost this very like artistic stroked effect. Okay, so basically just by taking that and doing strokes sideways with your brush tip on the Stampin' Write, and it gives it a really cool look, even if it isn't 100% smooth. Now, with the blends, you can see it's very smooth. Okay, really smooth. All of these, when you see the pastel color here, Purple Posy, Flirty Flamingo, and Seaside Spray, and an example for these three, only the light color was used on each one of those. And then there was a little bit of gray added in for the hair and for the ears and for the feet. Okay, so you can definitely see what it's like. Now, this is an example of a Stampin' Blend colored, and it is completely filled in. This is an example of a Stampin' Blend where it's a combination of either just outlined, just drawing attention to it, but not fully coloring in that area because we want it to look like it's white. And then the face is fully colored in. And then the little cheeks and the nose and the bow were in Flirty Flamingo. This is Gray Granite Dark and Basic Black Light for the feet. And then this is a combination of both. So you can use your Stampin' Blends and your Stampin' Writes together if you would want to, if you want that extra element of detail. And that's what happened here. So we used the Basic Black Light for the base, coloring in this sheep, and then we did the Stampin' Write in Basic Gray to get the details of the hair, okay, to color that in. And then I also added like little eyelashes, and I bolded her eyebrows a little bit to kind of distinguish, to play around and see if I could make them look a little bit different as a girl and a boy. But I ended up really liking the simpler look better. But you know, this is all about playing and seeing what you like. So that's the main difference between using the Stampin' Write markers, the Stampin' Blend markers, which tip of the marker that you use, or if you would actually use both. Okay. One of the reasons why I was coloring or experimenting in colors as opposed to, you know, the chick yellow is that I've heard stories about, I guess, you know, for another generation, they used to dye the chicks for Easter. And they don't do that anymore. But, you know, they used to dye them blue and pink and everything. So I thought it would be kind of cute to color them and just see what they looked like. And they did turn out really cute. This is Call Me Clover Light. This is Flirty Flamingo Light. This is Purple Posy Light. And that's Balmy Blue Light in the Stampin' Blends. Okay. And just as an example here, this is Crumb Cake Light. Okay, Crumb Cake Light. But then here you can see that some hair detail has been added right around the top of the head, around the whiskers, some little wispies right there. So that was some Stampin' Blend incorporated into some Stampin' Write marker incorporated into the Stampin' Blend coloring. And then this is just what it looks like solid. Okay, and the reason that I chose that was because I was kind of going for the sort of chocolate bunny look. Okay, now some other elements that we're going to be adding in today that I wanted to talk about, and I'll just point it out here. So the main set today is Welcome Easter, and we are going to be using each one of these sentiments. Welcome to the world, little one. Happy Easter, sweet friend. Have a wonderful Easter. But we're incorporating other products as well. I'm using multiple dies in this particular video. And the reason for that is because I wanted to get a certain look when I was playing around with the tags and the bags. And we're also going to be incorporating some paper pumpkin products and inspiration, just to give you ideas, just as in the same way that I was working with ideas as I went. So let me just point out a few things here. There's no specific die set that coordinates with the Welcome Easter stamp set. This is a standalone stamp set. So you can incorporate whatever dies that you want. The main die set that I included was the, I believe it's called So Sweetly Stitched dies from the So Sentimental bundle. And I'll put a picture up on the screen of those. But all of these die cut pieces, so this piece, this piece, this piece, those are all from the So Sweetly Stitched dies. Now, this nest is from a paper pumpkin kit, and I'll show you which one. These clouds are from the Wiggle Worm dies, and I'm trying to remember exactly what that's called. I'll put that up on the screen. And another die set that we're going to be using are the Dino dies. I will also put we're going to be using a few dies from the Perfect Parcel dies. I used this die to get the tag look on each one of these tags. Every single tag has this, was cut with this die cut. I also have these which cut into paper but do not cut out, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Let me see if I can find a good example of that. So here, this die was laid right inside the die that created this scalloped edge, which was from So Sweetly, but this actually fit perfectly. So it was a combination of some of them I used this, and on some of them I used this one. Let me see if I can get a good example of that. Okay, so here is an example of this one. Okay, so those are the Perfect Parcel dies. I'll put a picture up on the screen. For the Dino dies, I can't remember the exact name of them. I don't have the information right in front of me, but I'll put this up on the screen too. We're going to be using the egg, and then we're going to be using these two to make carrots. Okay, so these are all from the Dino die set. And just to show you here, so these eggs were cut using this. And these carrots right here, I used this and I just trimmed the edges off of the carrot. So this was actually cut in pumpkin pie cardstock. Sorry about the ink on my fingers. And then I used this die to cut in Call Me Clover, and I just cut it in sections and then just did some cutting with the scissors to shape it and add it to the carrot. The concept for the treat bag is that I would use a framed image. Okay, so the way that this was cut right here was actually with 3 dies. Okay, so what I did was, on a die cutting mat on a magnetic sheet that you run through your die cutting machine, I lined these 2 right up like this, and then I took this insert, I put it right in line here, laid my paper on it and ran it through, and that gave me this. So that's how you see the window here. Okay, and that's how it cut in this design. You can let the window shine through and just show your buffalo check. Okay, in my case, I liked seeing the white background behind it. I felt like it reinforced the stamped image that we were working with. The base of each of these things is going to be using the buffalo check background stamp. Okay, so here we have Petal Pink, Soft Seafoam, So Saffron, Mint Macaron. Now, one thing that I want to point out here is you can see that there is some lightness in the middle here. It's not a completely 100% smooth stamp. This was stamped using the Stamparatus. It was stamped down once. If you stamp it down, if you would re-ink and stamp it down a second time, which you can do with the Stamparatus, then you can get more solid coloring throughout, which is what I had done here with each one of the tags. Each one of those were stamped twice. These were stamped once. Balmy Blue, Pool Party, Blushing Bride, Pear Pizzazz, Calypso Coral, Highland Heather, First, I'm going to trim out the stamped image. Okay, and so what I ended up doing here was I counted over 3. So 1, 2, 3, and I cut here. And so what that did was it gave me 2 pieces. The piece for the gift bag and the tag. Now this is the part where you could make your tag look whatever way you would want it to using the die that you want, if you have a previous die that created or cut tags, or whatever punch that you want. Or you could even just use a hole puncher, and then if you would want to create any detail in the bottom, you could actually just hand cut in a banner type look or a flag type look. So many different ways that you can create a tag. I'm going to be using this. Okay, and we have our tree bag.